Hello and welcome to the ISRK Podcast. I'm your host, Marvikrant. I'm a doctoral candidate at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Hanyang University, Seoul, Korea. ISRK, that is Indian Students and Researchers in Korea, is a voluntary support group that works towards the benefit of the Indian diaspora in Korea. On today's episode, I have the pleasure to be in conversation with Dr. Saurav Sarkar. He's a postdoctoral researcher at the Pohang University of Science and Technology, POSTECH, Korea. So, Dr. Sarkar, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Mhm. Yes. To begin the conversation, I would like to know your reasons behind coming to Korea for your PhD. As we know that back home in India, when people think about higher education and an international PhD, they usually think about the US, UK, or the EU. So, what were your reasons behind coming to Korea? Can you briefly elaborate on that?
Well, let me be very honest.
Yeah.
Korea was not my
Uh-huh.
target destination for the PhD.
Yeah.
I was thinking of going to Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and I also got an admission in TU Berlin. But because of those, like uh, for the for the document screening, I had to send the passport scan copy of the passport or something like that.
Yes.
So I could not manage it within the due time. So yeah, my application got cancelled later on.
Okay.
And so I had no choice other than coming here. But before I came here, I discussed with many people, particularly like the faculties in IITs and something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people, they they didn't encourage me to come here. I mean, they said that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you should not go there because Korea is still like they have some primitive thoughts about Korea like
Uh-huh.
20 or 30 years back, but it is no more the same thing.
Yes.
So personally, I feel that I made a very wise decision
Mm.
that I didn't listen to them
Yeah.
and I came here. Yeah, so it's a kind of life changing for me.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you very much for your honesty and sharing your experience. For me also, it has been a similar experience, and I'm actually glad that I came here. So yeah, we share that in
I
common.
mean,
Yeah.
my experience is very, I mean, I would say, like, I have very, I mean, very much constructive and positive feelings about the place here and like the way I've been living for the last 6 years. I mean, it's been amazing so far.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. So, can you briefly expound on the advantages of doing a tech research in Korea? For example, I checked online, and Korea is actually one of the biggest spenders in research and development. It
Right, right, right.
spends more than 4%
4%
of
of the
its,
GDP.
yeah, more than 4% of its GDP on the research. And also it is frequently ranked in the Bloomberg Innovation Index as one of the top countries in tech and innovation. So how has your experience been like being in the tech sector, right? So can you expound on that for the benefit of our viewers?
Yeah, definitely. Because I came here in 2015, so it's been
Mhm.
almost 6 years. I got my PhD from here and doing postdoc. So I have had uh, quite a lot experience. I mean, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I think is that the biggest advantage of doing research here is that the country is very small and the network is very very high and very fast. The internet speed is very good and the communication is good. The
Mhm.
roads are good. So, for experiment, for example, if you, I mean, let me be very honest. I mean, let's
Yeah.
compare India and the Korea in this perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in India, like if I for example, I belong to West Bengal. So
Mhm.
the major city in West Bengal is Siliguri, that is the northern part of the West Bengal, and the
Yeah.
Kolkata is the southern part.
Yeah.
Now we have only good two research zones.
Mhm.
In the West Bengal is a like kind of big state, but still you have only two places where you can do good research.
Yeah.
That two are about, I mean, say 700 kilometers apart.
Mm.
So you have to understand, I mean, for any collaboration, if you have to send in sample,
Of course. Yeah.
I do experiment in biological sciences, so I know how hard it is. 700 kilometers going, it takes about 1 day, so it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Communication is a very big deal.
Yeah.
That is, if you stay in Korea, it's not a big deal because
Mhm.
within 6 hours your samples can reach the right place.
Yes.
And for example, for example, you have like almost 200 universities. So
Mhm.
in terms of collaboration, you don't have to worry. And also there are private firms that they can do experiment. They have experts who can help you with understanding a particular field,
Mhm.
and they will analyze your data. So I think, I mean, it's a, I mean, if I mean, if you think the way research is done in
Yeah.
India, then in Korea it's a whole different. It's completely different,
Yes.
because I never thought that in India some private company they can help you with research.
Mhm.
Research is, I thought it is about a school, an
Mhm.
institution. They will do everything. But
Yes.
here private companies, I am in touch with two companies, for example. For my experiment, I frequently send them samples. So, I mean, it's very different.
Mhm.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, in Korea, the I feel that the academic industrial collaboration is very much active, and the goal of
You are
any
right.
ex
You're right.
yeah, the goal of any experimental research should be the social implementation eventually, right? So in that manner, I think industrial collaborations helps us researchers do our best in this regard.
Yeah, actually, I mean, when, for example, the history of science I
Mhm.
would not say science, but let's say modern science
Yes.
in Korea.
Uh-huh.
It's not very long that it started.
Mhm.
It's been maybe about 30 years, not more than that.
Yeah, 3 or 4
But
decades.
from the very beginning, they started I mean, they chose the right way to
Mhm.
do science. I mean,
Right.
they thought that the translational research is more important. I mean,
Mhm.
doing basic research and how you can implement
Yeah.
in people's life, and then you get money from people's life. I mean, not people's
Yeah.
life, but
Of course,
you can
yes.
get money from people, and then you can fund again your basic research. So
Yeah.
in this
It-
way, there
Mhm.
is a beautiful cycle is going
Yeah.
on. That's what I can see.
Yeah, it's a
So
cycle.
you don't have any problem for funding,
Mhm.
and so it's nice.
Yeah, nice. And you also have had experiences in studying in top universities in your career so far. For example, back in your master's, you were in IIT Kharagpur, which is a top university in India. And right now, you also got your PhD from POSTECH, which is a top 100 QS ranked university in the world. So, how has your experience been like in both these universities? And there must be some differences in the academic culture and in the teaching style, right? So, can you briefly touch upon that? And I know it may be too big a subject to generalize, but can you touch upon the salient features?
Yeah, I mean, it is not a very big, I mean,
Mhm.
the difference is very subtle. This question is
Ah,
very simple.
mm,
I mean, if you think the way
mhm,
I was taught for example, I studied in Calcutta University
mhm,
in a autonomous college, and after that I went to IIT. So uh, teachers in those institutions, they really cared whether you learned or not. I mean,
mm,
at least most of the teachers that I can remember.
mhm,
But here it's not like that. Here it is more like the teacher will deliver his talk and the students will learn. And teachers, they are not really, I mean, you won't say that I learned this for this teacher. I mean,
yes.
you won't say that. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, if you ask me from where you learned chemistry, I mean, I can definitely recall some of the professors
Mm,
from IIT and some of the professors from my college, but
sure,
I
yeah.
won't say I learned chemistry from professors in this department, or like, I mean, not even like if you ask me whether I learned chemistry from my professor or not, I mean, I won't say yes, because I mean, I learned other things,
Yes,
how to I mean, how to organize a project and how to do research in a, uh,
right.
I mean, well organized way. But if you ask me whether I learned chemistry or not, no, I didn't learn chemistry at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very, I mean, very clear difference, the
Yes.
way the subjects is being taught in these two countries.
Hmm.
That is it.
Sure. Thank you very much for your very clear explanation. Yes. And what is your take on the highly competitive entrance examinations in India? For example, we all know that to get into bachelor's or master's in India, you have to pass a very competitive exams. So, what is your take on it? And also in our audience, there are several prospective students who want to join top universities in Korea. So, what do universities in Korea look for a prospective applicant? Can you touch upon that? I think it will be very beneficial for our viewers.
Okay, so you have like two questions, right? The first one is the first. Okay, so
Mhm.
what was your first question? The first question was, can you repeat once the
Yeah,
first question?
Yes, I wanted to know your take on the highly competitive nature of the
Okay, that
examinations in India. That's
exam
right.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so let's start with that. See, there is, I mean, we cannot compare India and Korea in this regard,
Hmm.
okay? Because you
Sure.
have to
Yeah.
understand that in India, population is 130 crore, right?
Yes.
And in Korea, it's 5 crore. So
Hmm.
for 130 crores in India, you have only 900 universities,
Hmm.
about 900 universities. And
Sure.
you know the conditions of the universities. Most of the universities are not, their infrastructure is not good enough that they can do good research. And so, but in Korea, you have more than 200 universities for
Hmm.
only 5 crore people.
Right.
So in India, whether you can get it, you should go for the PhD or not.
Mhm.
Uh, there is no choice other than passing a test.
Right.
You have to be better than other 10 people, not only in terms of doing research. That is the secondary question. The
Right.
first question is there should be a system that screens people on some basis.
Of course.
We
Yeah.
cannot screen people based on our name
Hmm.
or like our religion or like our financial status. We cannot do that
Right. Right.
because we will go to an academic institution. It means the screening should be based on the merit.
Right.
But in Korea, it's not like that because you have plenty of universities
Hmm.
and they're ready to accept students. So all you have to do if you are thinking of coming to Korea, I mean, in my opinion, if you ask,
Right.
uh, universities are looking for good students, because as I said, that Korea has just started his science and technology just in
Hmm.
25 or 30 years. So
Right.
the plenty of the spaces are still there. I mean,
Yeah.
students can come. Competition is also less,
Hmm.
and they can experience good research,
Hmm.
well in good infrastructure. But what you should really have when you are thinking to come to Korea is that you should really know what you want to do.
Yes.
That's my
That's right.
opinion.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, I mean, uh, when for like some of the people, they also apply to my laboratory, and
Mhm.
sometimes my professor forward their email that, oh, do you think this guy is good enough, and like, can we
Right.
accept? I
Hmm.
mean, at this moment, we are not accepting students, but like 1 or 2 years back, that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So most of the times, I found that the students, they don't really know what they want to do.
Hmm.
I mean, they are just looking for some position, but that doesn't help when you go to I mean countries where research is a very very important, I mean, key part of the academic program. So they just think that, oh, I'm joining masters, then I will be just doing some class, taking some classes and writing exams, then I
No.
will pass, then the degree will be I will get the degree. So it's not like that in Korea. It's, I mean, entirely different because throughout 2 years you have to get involved in
Hmm.
very core research. I mean,
Right.
basically there is no difference between a PhD student and a master student
Of course.
in
Yeah.
Korea.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be very clear what you want to do and what is your goal. If you have that answer, maybe your chances will be much higher when
Hmm.
you are writing an application.
Yeah.
Yes.
In my personal opinion as well, you should have a object. Of course, how do we reach that objective is a different story, but you should have a defined pathway so that you can proceed effectively. Right.
Exactly.
Hmm.
For example, some of the, I mean, I know as I'm dealing many students since last 3 or 4 years. I know, I mean, how students think when they are writing for like master's applications. When
Yeah.
they want to go for master's degree outside, how they think, and when they write for PhD.
Yes. Yes.
I don't see that transition, in
Right.
applications. I don't see that transition. When you are writing for PhD, you should, I mean, it's not like uh, if you don't have such clarity, you are not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But you should have that clarity to get a position. That is the thing.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I mean, you cannot write. You want to do a PhD in my field, and you have studied, say, theoretical chemistry.
Hmm.
It won't help
Yeah.
because you should have the clarity that that is my background, that is my expertise, and
Hmm.
with this expertise, these are the fields that I can target.
Mm.
Then your application will be much more convincing.
Right.
So students should understand that thing.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you very much for your detailed explanation. And I read a newspaper article about your experience in post-take that you were the first foreign graduate student body president, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Right, right. So, how has your experience been like? And I also read in that newspaper article that it was your first brush with racism on campus. But
Mm,
how has your experience been like in everyday life in Korea? And
yeah.
can you briefly elaborate on this topic, please?
Okay, so I can do that. I mean, uh, well, I should rectify what you said. I mean,
Right, right.
I didn't experience racism on
Uh-huh.
campus. So
Hmm.
if you have read something like that, it is something wrong. I mean,
Okay.
so the kind of racism it was mostly online.
Oh,
After
online.
the, I
Mhm.
mean the, after the news was uh, reached. I mean, after the news was reported by several online medias, then. Some of the people they were like not so happy with that, so they kind of reacted,
Right.
but I won't say because of that, I won't say that these countries they have racism issues and like
Mhm.
uh, people are racist here. I won't say that,
Mhm. Yes.
because such people are everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere.
and they are like their stability is less, so reactivity is high, so they will do random stuffs. But yeah, as I
Yeah.
mentioned in that interview, that
Mhm.
it is important that we should uh, change our mindset, at least for those people. If we say that such people are only 1% of this population,
Mhm.
still they are like 50,000,
Right.
right?
Right.
It means those 50,000 people, this nation cannot utilize properly. I
Mhm.
mean, so if they change that mindset, I
Mhm.
think that will be beneficial for this nation. So I won't say
And
that
for everyone
uh,
as well. Yeah.
definitely everyone, but because it is not only me, I saw that there are several other people, they also experience such thing. But in my university, I never faced such a thing, because
Mhm.
I spent with, I mean, I worked with university for almost 2 years
Mhm.
in different, uh, I mean, these organization bodies. So I know that there is no such thing. I mean, I can confidently tell you, because I mean, I was supported like 150%, like
Yes.
more than I expected.
Yeah.
So I won't say that it is that such problems are here, but if you
Sometimes.
go
Yeah.
to I mean, if you not every people are. I mean, our generation is different, right? Because
Right.
we have smartphones, so we know where what is going and what is right, what is
Of
wrong. We
course.
have
Yeah.
such, I mean, discrimination. We know that what this is right, and
Mhm.
racism is wrong. I mean, saying negativity, spreading negativity is wrong. But
Right.
like people who are like little old, and
Yeah.
they are not so accustomed with this yet.
That's right. Yeah, it's understandable. And of course, some negativity is always there in the society, but in general, it's always have been so far for me as well a very positive experience in Korea. And
Yeah,
all,
yeah, definitely.
almost most of the time, people are very friendly and helpful. So yeah.
Right, right, right.
Anyway, so I also read that you are one of the founders of the Icha Foundation, right? And it's a quasi for profit organization that works towards
Right.
helping students with their applications for higher education and stuff like that. So I wanted to know how did it come to be, and what's the story behind it, and why did you started the Icha Foundation? Can you briefly share the background?
Well, I mean, it started in 2017
Mhm.
when I wrote application. For example, when I started writing applications for PhD,
Mhm.
it was in 2000, end of 2014,
Right.
probably. I mean, I didn't need to apply to USA, so
Mhm.
I was not in much hurry. But yeah, I
Yes.
wrote applications to many places,
Mhm.
like UK, many Asian countries, and many places. But I mean, my success was very less. I mean,
Yeah.
kinds of response I got, it was mostly negative, and
Right.
nobody really liked the way I wrote emails and the way
Yeah.
I prepared my materials. Nobody liked it. So, uh, but you must understand that I studied in IIT, that
Mhm.
is good institution, but still
Still.
I don't have such information that how to prepare a good resume and how to write good emails. So I realized that information is very important,
Yeah,
and
it's
it is
vital. Yeah.
very precious, and uh, people don't share it that easily. So it was
Yeah.
kind of I mean,
Yeah.
I really had tough times to learn those things. So
Mm.
in 2017, uh, one girl, she approached me and she told me that she's interested in getting masters and PhD in abroad. And at the beginning, I said no. I mean, I'm very busy with my research. But later, I mean, I realized that, I mean, she was from a little, her financial background was not so good. So I, I knew that she will not get help maybe from other places.
Right.
So that actually made me think about it, that
Mm.
is it, I mean, can I really make a difference in their life?
Right.
So then we started working on it, and it was my first experience. So like we wrote emails to many places, and like we learned how to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And she got a place in Hebrew University of Jerusalem with
Wow.
200% scholarship. So, and she went for masters there.
Right.
And after that she went to NUS Singapore for
Uh-huh.
PhD. So I was quite confident that well, I can do this.
Right.
And since then, actually, I've been working on it. It started in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's been almost 3 years. And so far, we have worked with maybe around 20 students,
Mm-hmm.
and most of them have been. I mean, we have placed in good universities. I mean, I won't say good, but at least something is better than nothing. That's
Right.
all I
Sure.
can say.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah. So, but it's still, so far it was kind of a non-profit work.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have made a very well organized team, and so now we have to move toward like quasi profit.
Right.
We don't want to make money from here, but yeah, to run an organization, it's important that we have some sort of that kind of things.
Of course, you need resources to
Yeah,
sustain a bigger
yeah,
structure. So
right,
of
right.
course, it's
And
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
from this semester, another thing happened is that a lot of universities, they started making tuition fees mandatory on the beginning before the semester. So it
Oh.
was not there before, but this semester it happened very suddenly that they are accepting the tuition fees before the semester.
Mm-hmm.
So two of my students this semester, I mean, they said that, oh, they got the position, but they cannot pay the tuition fee. So
Right.
I had to pay the tuition fee on their behalf, and it was about $6,000. It was not easy for me because
Right.
I also have very limited fund.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
then it came to my mind that I cannot spend money from my pocket in this way. So I thought that how about we make a common fund and we make it a kind of quasi-profit organization
Mhm.
so that we can do maybe we can work sustainably.
Right. Of course, I wish you great success with this initiative because I think it's
Thank you
very
so much.
right. It's very important for the students to have this kind of platform so that they can progress. So I very much appreciate your efforts. Right. And
Thank you so much.
right. So what is your take on mental well-being, social work, and mentorship? Because we often hear that graduate student and researchers are often under tremendous stress. I hear about it personally as well in my conversation with other people. So, what is your take on mental well-being and social work and mentorship? And do you think every university should make an effort to make the students accessible to psychological counselors and things like that? What is your take on it?
Well, when I was when I worked with the student union in posting,
Right.
uh, when I appeared for the election,
Mhm.
it was in my election pledges, that we should make counseling program mandatory for at least the newcomers,
Right.
because after joining PhD, like most of the people, they faced a lot of difficulty. For example, when I came here, I used to fall asleep when I was doing experiment, because I mean, because of many things, like
Right.
you don't know, because research is high tech and you have to
Mhm.
learn new instruments. And also you have to attend courses, you have group meetings, you have to send progress report, a lot of
Yeah,
things.
lots of things.
You never really know that you had to do these things. You thought PhD means just maybe doing something, but
Studying.
it is not like that. You have to,
Right.
yeah, you have to take care of a lot of things.
Right.
And it was the foundation of being
Mhm.
professional, like
Mhm.
you learn how to be professional, how to take care of many things. And in this way, yeah, definitely we'll get mental stress. And
Right.
you should visit a counselor.
Mm.
There is no question about it. A counselor is not going to a counselor is there is nothing to be ashamed of it.
Right. It's very
Because in
important to
my
understand.
university, when
Yeah.
yeah, when we did a survey, a lot of students, they didn't want to go to the counselor because
Social
even in
taboo.
Korea there is a negativity, like there's a social, how to say, a, a social concept that if you go to a counselor, maybe something is wrong with your
Wrong
life.
with you,
So
right?
I think you don't have to think in that way. So I think if you are facing difficulty, you should go to a counselor. At least in Postec, we have a very active
Mm.
a team of counselors. They are working. And after I became the president, I also initiated a program making the online counseling mandatory for the newcomer graduate students. So, and the program was really successful.
Mm.
Students said that
Mm.
it is a mandatory thing.
Right.
So now at this moment, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to make it mandatory.
Hmm.
Uh, Not, for example, we have the safety education is mandatory, right?
Right. Yeah.
We have to do maybe every semester. So the university is planning to make that counseling program mandatory,
Mm.
that every semester you should do
Right.
at least participate in that counseling session for 1 hour or something like that. So I think uh, is a very crucial topic, what you said.
Hmm.
And most of the universities, they are working on it
Right.
according to their resources and facilities.
Of course. Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's a very challenging thing. I mean, for foreigners, I think it is still okay,
Hmm.
because, but I have mostly seen Korean people, they are very much fragile in this aspect.
Disregard.
When something goes wrong, they are devastated. So they really need help, and they go to the counselors. So
Yeah. Hmm.
I think some we can learn from here also.
Right.
Foreigner students, they can also go to the counselors.
Yeah. I also think it's a very good initiative, and universities should look more into it to help make it more accessible to students. And
Right, right.
right, so we are touching upon the 30 minutes podcast, our session mark. So it has been a really good experience talking with you, and thanks for your candor
Thank you, Kumar.
and your openness to explain us things. And I hope that the conversation would be of use to our viewers in many regards. Right. So do you
Thank
have,
you.
yeah, so do you have any final words for our audience before we sign off?
Well, what kind of final words? uh,
Anything?
because this podcast is mainly focused toward like students, right?
Right, right, right.
So, I mean, let's consider that
Mhm.
mostly students will watch this video. Then what I want to say is that, well, students means they are supposed to look for higher studies, mostly in science and technology field.
Mm.
So I'm in that field, so I can, from that perspective, I can tell you that if you are planning to apply to Korea, don't hesitate.
Mhm.
Uh, Korea is still opening its place for
Mhm.
the foreigner students. That's all I want to say. That,
Yeah.
for example, when I submitted my application to Postec in that time, also sending the PDF copy of the photocopy of the passport was mandatory.
Mhm.
But I told them that, oh, see, I don't have my passport ready yet.
Yeah.
And they accepted it very easily. They said, oh, it's all
Hmm.
right. Then please
Nice.
send us within 15 days or 20 days. I mean, it was so friendly, not
Yeah.
like other universities that I have experienced,
Mhm.
particularly when I submitted my application in TU Berlin. They didn't even responded to my email, and I mean, when they responded, then they said that, oh, this is our policy, this is very strict, we cannot
Right.
go beyond this. But in Korea, things are a lot more flexible. You will
Mm.
see that people will help you in many different ways.
Right.
So I think if you are not so confident about your profile,
Mhm.
definitely try Korea. You will get a better luck.
Nice.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah, nice
I mean,
suggestion. Yeah.
people who have a very clear vision,
Mhm.
uh, they should go to US, because
Mhm.
there are a lot more things that you have to take care when you are planning to US, because you have to prepare for GRE, and you have to get through the TOEFL, and you have to prepare good materials for PhD application. But in Korea, you don't have such complications, because if you are applying from India, then they already consider that you have certain background of English,
Yeah.
because our education is mostly in English, right? And they also kind of, they like Indian people. because most of the Indian people, they like food and they have a little
Also,
tummies.
also our diplomatic relationship with Korea is pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
relationship is getting very strong these
Right.
days.
Right.
So I think at this moment is like everything is going very well, very
Yes.
smooth. And also, for example, foundations like the way ISRK is working. So I mean, if you need any information, they can get from, I mean, many places. So this is the right time. If you are thinking of application, just do it. I mean, don't think much. You won't regret. That's my suggestion.
Yes. Well,
That is
uh,
all.
thank you very much for your time, Dr. Sarkar. It was a pleasure to have you on, and
Thank you,
hopefully,
Kumar.
right, we'll hopefully will stay in touch, and maybe we can get you on the podcast sometime down the line in the future as well. Well, thank you very much for your time, Doc.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Have a good time.
Sure. Okay.
Mhm.
You too.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Uh, Tune in to the ISRK YouTube channel for more videos. I'll see you soon. Thank you.